everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episode 8 of Konosuba season 3. Based off of what we see at the start of this episode, it looks like Kazuma's adventures with Chris in the capital are going to bite him on the butt big time. It looks like he has an absolutely massive bounty on his head, probably along with Chris, although I don't think anyone knows, aside from Darkness, who each of these people are. And he definitely doesn't seem very happy about it, which is understandable given that apparently the bounty is almost as big as the one for catching the Demon King. Now, there is something interesting about the situation, in my opinion, which is the fact that Darkness does know that they are the ones who did this. She's very aware of it. And it seems to me like Darkness and her family are dealing with potentially bad financial problems. And we see her eyeing him during this situation, which definitely raised some red flags for me. Given what we see by the end of the episode, I wonder whether she has a different plan in mind, or whether Darkness might potentially do something to sell us out. Now, I hope not. It doesn't seem like it would really be in character for her. But when you think about the reality of the situation, and the fact that when your actual family is in trouble, sometimes you'll do things you wouldn't do under other circumstances. It really depends on how close you are to those people and how much they matter to you. And while Darkness does tend to rebel against her family in certain ways, I do think it's very fair to say that she does care deeply about her father, and that she would do things to try and help him. Although I think she'll go to other means first before she would think of touching anything to do with Kazuma. And I wonder if what we might potentially end up seeing here is Kazuma actually potentially making some kind of sacrifice to help Darkness, given the prophecy that Veneer was talking about in the last episode. As far as overall comedic or adorable things, I think that my favorite part of the episode was actually Aqua singing to the dragon chicken. I'ma call it dragon chicken because it's a 50-50 coin toss whether it's gonna be a dragon or it's gonna be a chicken or some other minuscule creature. And there is so much comedy that could be done with this either way that I would be happy with either result. It just seems so promising. What I also really liked about this whole lullaby sequence that we see a couple times in the episode is that like 70% of it, it's wholesome, it's cute, it's like, I'm your like foster mom, I'm taking care of you, da 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 da, you're going to be the divine dragon to rule over all dragons. And then it's like, an heiress chest is flat as a board, and it's like, oof. Aqua, you can't even hold back the insults when you're singing a lullaby to a baby. Yup, that pretty much sums you up. Insults to infants and too much bubbly. Now, we all like you, but yeah, that pretty much sums up your character. As for how Megumin is doing, what I really liked about her in this episode is the whole situation with her and Kazuma and the cat, and how she's like trying to get the cat away from him, and he's like, leave the cat alone, and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that Kazuma had gotten quite so cozy with the cat. But maybe that is also in part a potential reflection of the fact that he likes Megumin, and also we see Megumin wanting to like avenge him for the death that he takes at the start of the episode. I've really enjoyed these two this season. Like, they don't have to like bounce it over the head every episode, but I love how they add these little nods and touches and stuff that can potentially be interpreted in that way if the viewer desires to do so. I think it's very clever because it doesn't lock them into a box with his character. It doesn't make it so that all the weird stuff that happens with him and other characters suddenly seems wrong or anything. But for those who enjoy that pairing, they keep adding these little Easter eggs and little like possible connection things that somebody can choose whether or not they want to feed into, and I think that's really clever. The battle against the Hydra was actually really cool. I like how they started it in the last episode and they showed us the consequences of those first attempts in this episode at the start, both with Kazuma needing to be revived, and then with, of course, the fact that he and Darkness are just coated in what I will just call hydra slime, for lack of a better thing. That reminded me, and when they're talking about it like fouling up the lake, it reminded me of this time my dad went water skiing on a lake that we used to go camping on, and we used to call it Loon Shit Lake, and like the skis went back, he went down, and he was just coated. I can only imagine how gross going into this with it being a hydra must be for Aqua when she's like purifying it and stuff, because I mean, if loon shit is as gross as it is, I can only imagine, especially given the weird green color that darkness was later in the episode, just how nasty that shit is. So they have my sympathy there. But I think the coolest aspect of the entire fight actually was the situation with, first off, Aqua with the blessing, that was cute. But the whole situation with Darkness and Darkness's decoy ability, and the way that they utilize that decoy ability to tap into her like sexual masochism and stuff was really funny. I actually really enjoyed the way her character worked in this scene, because I like these aspects of her character when she's like fighting a creature or dealing with a villain or stuff like that. I find it a bit more awkward when she's dealing with Kazuma, or when she's dealing with situations where she's trying to be normal and this stuff is coming out. So for me, this really worked well. And I just also really loved how the whole town came together to fight the creature and how everybody played a part. I like that kind of messaging in a show. I think that's really wholesome and really cute, which makes a nice contrast inside of Konosuba, because Konosuba juggles certain aspects of wholesomeness and then just certain aspects of utter perviness all at once, and kind of just blends it like it's peanut butter and chocolate. And I think they did a wonderful job with that here. I think that this fight did a really great job of summing up the essence of what Konosuba is in one just fell swoop. If you wanted to show somebody the lengths of Konosuba very quickly, this fight would be an excellent example of that, in my opinion. Lastly, we need to talk about Darkness's absolutely heart-crushing letter at the end, because that was an emotional punch I did not see coming. But I think it's going to make for some incredible storytelling going forward, and we definitely have to wonder just why she is going back to her family home, and just how much trouble are these people in, and what is going to be needed to be done to actually resolve the issue. Will she end up using the information she has about Kazuma? Will she do something else? Will Kazuma somehow step in and actually resolve this problem somehow? And if so, how will he do it? It's going to be a real mystery to see just how that'll go down. And before I go, the one other thing I will say is we gotta keep on our toes, because that slimy noble Aldrip rather, is still lurking in the background that we saw in the last episode. And we just gotta wait, because I am sure, and I'm not a reader, I'm actually just a watcher, but this is me predicting. I'm very sure the other shoe is gonna drop, and I bet you anything that Puke has something to do with all of this. And I tell you, I hope he gets his by the end, because I really don't like that guy. Okay, I like him as a comedic piece, but he's not a likable character, just to clarify. Anyway, I thought this was a really great episode. I thought there was lots of interesting stuff going on here. It definitely kept me entertained. Aqua with the dragon was a highlight, as was Darkness dealing with the hydra. That was just really, really funny with her and Kazuma. That was really good. And I can't wait for next week. So, what did you guys think of this episode? Did you have a favorite part? Is there anything you're hoping for or looking forward to going forward? Do you think it's a dragon, a chicken, or a dragon chicken? Let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!